first things first, at the beginning of every appointment, we're going to tape down the bottom lashes. And if your clients come in with a face mask on, make sure you tape down their face mask before you do the bottom lashes. It just helps make your life a lot easier when you're doing the bottom lashes. So if you want to watch a full video on the tips on how to tape down the bottom lashes when your clients have a face mask on, you can watch our separate tutorial. We explain this in detail. So for the gel pads, I make sure to use a white gel pad so that I can easily draw my lash map notes on it. Usually I use a black marker on the white gel pad background so that it's easier for me to take a look at and refer to. So I'm just going to use this gel pad, and I usually cover the front half of the bottom lashes with it. And I'm just going to do the other side. Again, we do have a detailed tutorial on how to tape down the bottom lashes, which you can watch separately if you want me to explain it more detailed. But I'm just basically applying the gel pads here, and then I am going to prepare my tape and just tape down the outer half of the lashes. So here it is. We're just going to tape down the outer half of the lashes. So when we're taping down the bottom lashes and applying the bottom gel pads, we want to make sure that it's a pretty perfect canvas before we start anything. So here I'm just tinkering around with it until I get the perfect canvas for myself. So you want the perfect canvas because you want to avoid moving the gel pad after you've drawn the lash map on it and after you start lashing, just because if you start moving the gel pad after your lash map is already drawn on it, you're basically moving the lash map around, which means that the lash map won't really be perfect anymore. And here I'm using my non-permanent Muji marker. This one has double sides to it, so one is a thin tip and the other side is a thicker tip. I prefer this over the Sharpie just because Sharpies sometimes can have that stinky smell to it, and I don't think it's really pleasant for my clients to smell. And so here I like to ask the client to open their eyes ever so slightly so that I can see their pupil. And their pupil is usually at the highest point of where their eye is. You can see that it's like the bulge. And it's not necessarily always in the middle, so you do want to make sure that you take a look at it. Sometimes it's actually a little bit more closer to the nose than it is to the center of the eyes. So here I'm going to mark the pupil of the eyes, which is the center. And then also the brow bone is a very important part of the eyes for lash mapping. And again, I'm going to do the other side. The pupil, right at the center of the pupil, the highest point of the eyeball. And then I'm also going to mark where the brow bone arch is. And that's usually at the 75% of the eyes. So these 2 points are the most important parts that I like to mark down first. So with this client, she wants to go with the round eye to really open up her eyes upwards, which means that we're going to have to do the shortest lengths on the outer corners and the inner corners. So let's go with the 9s at the outer corners and the inner corners. And then we're going to go with the longest in the center of the eye, which is where the pupil is. And the longest we'll do 11s. And then the rest, we're just going to fill it in with 10s, so a number that's in between the 9 and the 11. So one thing that you do have to keep in mind is that if you start using the taping method during the lash appointment to stretch out the lashes for easier lashing, it actually moves the lash line. So that means that when you have the taping method on, the lashes in the 9 section without tape can actually end up in the 10 section when you have the tape stretching out the lash line. That means that we have to be super careful and aware of this. So one way that you can actually tackle this is that you can actually mark a small dot on the eyelid itself. That way you know exactly where the sections are, regardless if you use the tape to stretch out the lash line or not. And you simply just use one of these disposable applicators to wipe off the mark after the appointment. It's super easy to wipe off, especially if you just get a non-permanent marker, or you can even use like an eyeliner, liquid eyeliner, to mark this dot down. Okay, so just a close-up view of the lash map again. This is the round eye, which means that the inner and the outer corner sections will be the shortest lengths, and here we're using the shortest lengths as 9. And then the center of the pupil, which is the highest point of the eye, is at the longest lengths at 11. And then the rest, I'm just gonna blend it out with lengths 10. So the first thing I do when I start lashing is I actually like to use the peel back tape method right away. This is just to grab and lift half the lashes up. This way, isolation is just so much easier. So I usually do this with both eyes so I can work at both eyes at the same time. For the peel back method, you can just wiggle the lashes once you grab the tips of the lashes and then tape it back. And then afterwards, I pretty much just add at least one length of each into each section so I can see it pretty clearly. And now it's the fun part, finally. After you've planned everything out, we're gonna fill in the lashes. So the 9 section, we're gonna fill in with the 9 lengths, 10 section with the 10s, and then the 11 section with the 11s. And as you can notice here, the 11 section looks like it's just a line, but I do like to fill in more 11s than just one fan, obviously. The 11 section will kind of be like blended in between the 10s as well, but mostly just at the center of the pupil area. So with the 11s, it looks like it would just be one lash fan that's an 11, but it's more or less going to be like 10 fans on each eye at the 11 section. So I just go ahead and I fill everything in, and I like to alternate between both the right eye and the left eye, just so that I can make sure that each eye is balanced with the same number of lashes. So with the right eye, I will make sure to put in a few lashes, and then on the left eye, I'll put in a few lashes, and then I'll go right eye again, and then the left eye again. So here's a close-up of how I build density in one section here. I'm just applying 9s to the outer corner section, and as you can see, I tape up all the lashes, leaving just the outer corner section for me to lash. I find that this method helps lift the lashes off the gel pad, which makes it a lot easier for me to isolate, and it also helps avoid stickies, which is the top lashes sticking to the bottom gel pad. And now here's a close-up of the inner corners. Again, it's the same thing with the taping process. I like to tape the lashes up, leaving only the inner corner lashes exposed for me. So this just makes it a lot easier for me to isolate, as I can see all the individual lashes clearly. And then pretty much the process is just to go ahead and fill the sections in with the lengths that's noted on the lash map. So here I'm just creating a length 10 fan, and I'm going to place it in the 10 section. And we're just going to repeat the same process until the entire eye is filled up. For the purpose of this video, I'm not exactly going to fill out the entire eye, just because it's probably going to take at least 2 hours for me to do that, but you kind of get the idea here. So here, obviously, even though this is an unfinished set of lashes, you can already see the shape that's forming. The longest length is at the highest point of the pupil, and it gradually gets shorter towards the inner and outer corners. So once you've done the set, you can take a disposable applicator and simply wipe off the non-permanent marker or eyeliner that you drew onto the eyelids here. I just used the Bioderma micellar water. It's a good remover that wipes everything right off. So make sure you don't use too much of it, that you get it onto the lashes. But you just gently swipe the marks off. And the key here is just to be really gentle. So you can use your finger to help stabilize the eyelid so that you're not stretching out the eyelid so much. And you're just going to see the ink come off onto the disposable applicator. So you might need to use a couple of these to make sure that it's completely clean. And then just the other eye here. And then once I'm done, I just take a cotton pad and dry it off with a gentle swipe. And here's an overview shot of the lash map. Of course, this is just a half set, but you can already see the shape here. The longest section is at the 11s here, and it gradually gets shorter to the 9s. And I'm just going to show you an open eye shot as well later. You can finally ask your clients to open up their eyes so you can take a look at how the lash map turned out. It always looks different when their eyes are closed compared to when they're open, so it's always a good idea to take photos of your client's eyes when they're open so you know how to adjust for their next appointment. So I hope you found these tips helpful, and I hope it helps you with your next lash mapping session.